Good morning, lads. How are you?
Good, yeah. We all got a bit of a spring in our step. The sun's shining out there behind you in Portugal, which is lovely to see. We're going to come on to Portugal. I don't know if you've been down to get your paper and a loaf of bread today and see what... We'll come back to Portugal. Let's start with England.
Yeah.
And, I mean, first, your overall thoughts on what you witnessed last night.
Well, it's a bit like you've just summed it up in one there. The first half in particular, we were a bit pedestrian and certainly in our defensive work needed to improve, and we've conceded 2 goals. However, the manager's obviously had a word with 1 or 2 or whatever he said or whatever he's done. But all of a sudden in the second half, it's a different team. And for those who started doubting Bellingham a little bit, then I'll eat humble pie a little bit, because I have to say yesterday, for a 20-minute spell in the second half, he was unplayable. And how good was Harry Kane? Again, we've said all along, how good is he and how valuable he is. He was just absolutely fantastic in his defensive work as well. The block he got you'd have been proud of if you were a centre back. Absolutely, it was a wonderful start, and but I think the beauty of England is the substitutions when the lads came on with fresh legs in wide areas. Rashford, and I mean, what a 3-4 players they've been able to bring on, which makes a difference when obviously when people are tired.
Would you say England and France have been the best teams so far? Maybe Argentina? Who have you really enjoyed?
Yeah, I think we've always got to be wary. The French in the top end of the pitch, like we spoke about a week ago, a bit like England, isn't it? The French have got some fantastic footballers at the top end of the pitch. Where it all matters for me, I know, yes, we can be better defensively, but we are a threat. Certainly we're a threat, and that goes for the French team too.
We could sense the frustration from Thomas Tuchel and the coaches, from Anthony Barry's chat with Gabriel Clark at half-time. As a manager, Steve, you do all the work, you do all the prep, and you think they've trained really well all week, they're on it, they know what I want them to do, and they go out and they don't do it. I mean, it must be very frustrating.
Yeah, it is. And by the way, even these lads are seasoned professionals, and, it's a World Cup. They come round every 4 years. It's the pinnacle of your career, playing in a World Cup. And all of a sudden, they looked a bit nervous and a little bit edgy, if the truth be known. And, they're well-established players who play in front of 70 and 80,000 every week. It's the World Cup, the build-up to it. I mean, England have had to wait for a long time, it seems, hasn't it? The competition's been going a week. But I have to say, they were a bit nervous and a bit edgy. And I would love to have been a fly on the wall to let Tuchel let rip, I would have believed, because when you listen to Anthony Barry for a start, you could feel the frustration in him straight away, that we hadn't really performed to the level which we know we're capable of.
Is that a bold thing to say to players? I mean, effectively, Tuchel, as Anthony Gordon told Faye Carruthers last night, he said to us at half-time, just go out and play your game, be yourselves. What's the worst that can happen? We could lose, but I'd rather lose playing out.
That's a key thing, like that.
Yeah, I mean,
that takes out the fear.
Yeah, take away the fear. That's exactly right. The nerves, the tension, whatever you want to call it. Look, I remember the big game that when I look back at my career, one of the big highlights was playing the mighty Barcelona in the Nou Camp in front of 120,000 or whatever it was. We got beat 4-0. I was flaming hopeless. Romario and Stoichkov led me a merry dance. And I have to say, I was hopeless. And that's one where I think back all my career, I think, wow, I wish I'd have played better in that big game, And I have to say, Gary Pallister alongside me was just as bad as well, by the way. But so of course you want to perform, and I have to say, we've seen Bellingham, as I said, for 20 minutes, 30 minutes in the second half until he went off. He was absolutely sensational. I mean, what a player he is for 22-year-old. We forget that, he'd walk into any team. I have to tell you, he was terrific last night.
He was. We spoke to an expert earlier in the year who advises some Premier League clubs on half-time and how much players can take in and this sort of thing. I mean, how easy is it to get a message across to players, because they're tired and they're probably a bit nervous and a bit concerned about their own, they're probably quite angry as well.
How much difference can you make
they're probably angry in themselves to start with, and I only think you can make 1 or 2, maybe 3 points really before you can only make, otherwise they're not going to take it all in. So already they're a bit frazzled and a bit muzzled because they haven't played well. So all they need is a clear instruction, something like, listen, lads, just take off the shackles and play. What can happen? You're going to get beat. But, and it's the manner of it, of course. So, look, the manager's got a response out of them. And that's why we've hired him. He is a top class manager. He's made big calls. I mean, I don't think many would have picked that team yesterday. But, he's made big calls, made substitutions when they're right. And when he's needed to at half time, have a word with one or two to pull the finger out a bit.
Still some concerns. I mean, it wasn't it, by the way, Croatia pressing the way they played. They put us under pressure. They're a very good, experienced side. But do you have concerns defensively, central defensively, from the pair we had last night, Steve?
I honestly believe the two of them are very, very good. Are very, very good. And all the defenders, and we've got a world-class goalkeeper as well. He made a good save at the right time yesterday in the second half. They're both wonderful players. I think what we need Declan Rice, in particular, to have that defensive mode on and defend better as a team. I mean, their second goal, we're all back behind the ball, and our defensive block was low, but we didn't really put any pressure on it. And a straight ball has got through to their centre forward or whoever it was, and he knocked it back. So, as a team, I think we can defend better. It's not just picking on two individuals like your centre backs.
Yeah.
They may need a bit of protection, and certainly that's where I think Declan Rice in particular, even though I love to see him marauding forward, has to be on his game throughout the World Cup to give them two a bit of protection.
Just before he was subbed, I wrote down, is it me, but does Declan Rice look a bit knackered tonight? He's had a very, very long season.
He went off, he limped off
so
slightly.
Apparently he had a slight knock, but he did give the ball away a couple of times before that happened.
He has played a lot of football, hasn't he? I mean, he played most of that season. He got very, unlike Saka, had a couple of sort of injury breaks, and a few players that did. I think he played most of the season, didn't he, Declan Rice? So, I mean, he's bound to be a bit leggy, but still an important player.
He's crucial to us, and yes, I think he has had a long season and played. He's probably played more than anybody in terms of minutes, and played under pressure too. I mean, they've gone on to win the league with the performance he's made. He's going to be crucial to us, and so Elliot Anderson's another one. Where he was very, very good in my opinion too. So, but them two in particular have to give our defenders a little bit more, if they possibly can, because, as I said, it's not just, it's unhealthy to just say, the two centre-halves aren't good enough. I think they're both outstanding footballers, but we need to defend better as a team than what we did yesterday.
And, Steve, you were defending the centre-halves just now. You've had a little bit of stick after the game, and saying maybe they need a bit more protection from the midfield. There will be a few people feeling that maybe Mark Gay deserves a start, maybe he deserved to start last night. I mean, would you be for changing anything, or off the back of a win, would you keep it the same?
I have to say, I think that was, one of the decisions that not many people would have thought he would have done that. The thing about John Stones is obviously he hasn't played a lot this year in terms of minutes, but the one thing about him, he'll be as fresh as a daisy as long as he physically stays well. And we all know that John Stones is an outstanding player, has just unfortunately been struck this year with a load of injuries and hasn't played a lot. So it's a big call. As I said, I think England have just got to defend better as a team. As I said, they're set up yesterday for the second goal. They're all back behind the goal, but arguably wasn't enough pressure on the midfield player to enable them to play that pass. So, I mean, that's where they've got to be better. But certainly, let's not take away from the second half. We've played as well as anybody has in the tournament, and if you're another team looking at us, especially with strength and depth, with the people who are coming on the pitch, it was fabulous to see.
I thought Tuchel did well bringing Gay on just for a taste of the World Cup, getting it out of the way. Are you concerned, Steve, a little bit about that 15-minute burst at the start of the second half was fantastic. It was really, really exciting, but doing that in the heat and not scoring could be quite costly.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to take your chances, of course. And yesterday, there was no excuse, really, because it was under the roof. It was 21 degrees in the stadium. So it's not as if it's 35 degrees and you're playing in blazing sunshine. Then, of course, the game, we all understand then, is going to be obviously slower. So England have got to deal with that next time up, probably. But make no mistake, certainly the way they were in that 20 minutes after half time, it was as good an England performance as I've seen for a long time, where you're thinking, wow, we could score 2, 3, 4, 5 here. And unfortunately, we didn't.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next, isn't it? And how they respond for the second game against Ghana.
We should have a look at Portugal, because you're out there. Our correspondent.
I've just had a cup of coffee with a mate of mine in a little beach restaurant up on the coast there, and Martinez must go. He can't get the best out of our team. He's got to go now. We've got to follow Tunisia. Miguel, me mate, is a little bit gets a bit emotional with it, I have to say, but he's not happy with the manager at all. But they're a little bit in shock, because on the quiet, Portugal fancy themselves a little bit. They've got some wonderful, wonderful players. And, it just shows you how difficult now football is, that, they come against a very, very decent Congo team who made it really difficult for them. And, they end up getting a draw, which was quite deserved in the finish.
All the focus really on Ronaldo and the fact he really didn't have a good game. I mean, we've seen Argentina kind of play too messy. It didn't really work from Portugal's point of view, trying to do effectively the same thing.
I would say there's a 4-year difference between Ronaldo and Messi, and at the end of your career, 4 years is quite a long time, I think.
Well, huge, and you have to take your hat off to the two of them. I mean, to be playing at the world stage in 5, 6 World Cups, wherever it is, at 37 and 40 or whatever, however old they are, that's quite remarkable. And these two lads have been at the top of the tree now for at least 2 decades. So that's what makes them the great player. They don't want to give up. They still enjoy football. I mean, of course, everybody's going to analyse, Ronaldo didn't do much, this and that and the other, because of the expectation on him. Him and Messi have been the 2 best players in the world by a country mile for a long, long time. And unfortunately, Father Time is catching up with the two of them, but they've still got a bit to offer.
I just want to play you something, Steve. Didi Hamann, the former Germany midfielder, has been on RTE after the game. He was talking about Harry Kane and sort of picked up on a point one or two other people have made about Harry Kane. Let's play you this and see what you make of it.
He's the captain, and he's there to score goals in the knockout games, and the jury's out, and I can hear what Jay says, I can hear what Kevin says. I want to see him do it in the last 16 against France, in the last 8 against Brazil, and whether he's capable of doing it, we don't know. He hasn't done it so far. Then again, in Munich, every centre forward has scored goals, and it doesn't matter whether he scores 35 or 25. They're going to win the league. I'm not sure. I think there's a few centre forwards in this tournament. I'd probably rather have him a team than him. I'm sitting on the fence for now, but I've got my doubts about him, whether he's the player who's taken England to the World Cup. I think at some stage in a tournament, you need pace, and he simply hasn't got it.
That's Didi Hamann over in RTE in Ireland.
You should write to the Daily Star.
It was basically saying he's flat track bully. He's kind of going down the route of.
Did you see he's working for RTE in Dublin? Has he been on the Guinness or something all night or whatever? He must be the first person I've ever heard question Harry Kane.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, listen, everybody's entitled to their opinions, but I don't see that at all. I mean, look. This fella is world class, and you just have to look at his record, whether he's playing in England, whether he's playing for Spurs, whether he's playing for Bayern Munich. The guy is got a little bit of special quality. He's a wonderful, wonderful finisher, and of course he's got a couple of goals yesterday, which nobody was surprised he missed that penalty, the first one, where we're a little bit lucky. Something's gone our way, but you have to say I think Didi. But look. I disagree with him immensely. I mean, Harry Kane for me is world class player.
I mean, he scored a lot of goals in the Champions League, but I suppose Didi would say to that, but did Bayern go on and win it? But I tend to agree with you, and I'm sure most of the listeners do. But we shall see. Proofs in the pudding, isn't it, Steve? If he goes on and scores goals in the big games, then he puts that to bed. But for now, lovely to talk to you. Enjoy the sunshine today. And
Can I tell you one bit? You know what I was woken up to this morning? Me 5-year-old watching the highlights. Singing "God Save the King." How good was that?
Oh, that's good.
Hey, by the way, he's only 4.
Oh.
Unbelievable.
Learned the
Unbelievable.
anthem. That's what he's got the hand on the heart. He's doing the whole bit.
Oh,
Was he?
he's singing the anthem this morning. It was wonderful to listen to, I have to tell you.
Start him young. Brilliant. All the best, Steve.
Absolutely.
Have a good day.
All the best.
Take
Speak to
care.
you, lads.
There we are. There's Steve Bruce there. Our thanks to him. Say Chris Powell joining us for a chat later. A man who's been in an England dressing room as a coach and a player, of course, under Sven. But we're going to have a chat with Chris Evans very shortly. First up, we have one of the talkSPORT listeners getting in touch. Who's joining us? Going to find it. It's Mark, the Preston fan. Hey, Mark.
How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, we're good. So, it's a cold light today. You've been able to sleep on it. How are you feeling this morning about that performance?
I just think it was. I'm 43, and probably the most exciting England game I've seen in 40 years. You know, when you switch on England, you used to think you're going to be bored. But my kids were sat there, they watched the game. It was like thrilling, do you know what I mean? So I think this new style he's got, it's exciting. Whether we win it or not, it could be any of the top 5 that win it, who's best on the day, but at least we're watching exciting football now.
Mark, how old are you?
That's a good point.
How old are your kids? Because, I mean, we've been beaten down by 60 years of hurt, but kids watching for if that's your first memory of a World Cup game, you're probably thinking, oh, this is good. I can't wait for more of these.
Yeah, but also England in the last few years have been good.
They have been good, yeah.
Yeah, she's a 12-year-old, so she sat and watched it, which is remarkable because she never usually sits. Football's quite boring for a kid to watch, isn't it? Yeah. But it was exciting, and that's what we want. We want a bit of excitement in the England team. We don't want the defensive play it safe. We want a bit of excitement, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Good man, Mark. Thank you very much. Well, there we are. Mark sitting there watching it with his daughter. He doesn't normally watch football, and she's in it for the long haul now.
Yeah, that's what the World Cup is all about.
Indeed.